Hi, this is Dan Heisman, and we're continuing with our series of YouTube videos to help you improve your chess game. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about our chess tournament that we're having tomorrow online. It's a very special tournament, and it's the Holly Heisman Memorial fundraiser tournament. We have this tournament every year to raise money for women in need. We've raised over $100,000 doing this, thanks to Howard Stern and many others. So I'd like to tell you a little bit of story of how the tournament got started. But before I do that, please consider either playing in the tournament, or if you can't play, please make a donation. If you're hearing this video when it's too late, the tournament is December 12th. Today is December 11th. I apologize for not giving more advance notice on YouTube. But we've been advertising all over the place on chess.com and Twitter and so on. But if you can't play or it's too late and you didn't know about it, please consider making a donation. Go to danheisman.com. And in my first pull-down menu, we've got the donations page. In fact, let's pull that up just to show you how easy that is. Let's go to the browser. We'll go to my website. Guess it would be a good idea to go to my website. There we go, danheisman.com. Right here where it's the home menu, it's dark because it was being used. You go to donations. And there it is, fund number 1, the Holly Heisman Memorial Fund. 2 ways to donate. You can donate online. If you take that link, it fills out the donation for you automatically at the Philadelphia Foundation. You can put in your amount. It defaults to $25, but you can put any amount. $25 is the amount we're asking people as a minimum to make if they play in the tournament. But of course, we appreciate anything more. Or if you don't trust online donations and you wish to send a check, you can send it to the Philadelphia Foundation, put the Holly Heisman Memorial Fund, or HEIS, which is the acronym for the fund, in the memo field, and mail it to the Philadelphia Foundation, Post Office Box 826728 in Philadelphia, PA 19182. Okay, so that's for getting money for women in need. Why women in need? Well, Holly Heisman, Susan Hollis Bloom Heisman, was my first wife. She died of cancer, breast cancer, in 1994. Holly was a social worker, and she dedicated her life to helping others. And one of the places she worked was to help runaway teens. Another place was to help runaway and battered wives. So we made it the charter of the fund to help runaway teens, battered wives, and any women with breast cancer. So the Philadelphia Foundation is the place that has the fund. Of course, it's tax deductible if you pay taxes in the United States. So we started the fund, and every year they make a grant. They take about 5% of the money that's in the fund, and they make a grant to a local, like, women's shelter and places like that. We can go to the Facebook page. If I go over here to Facebook and I say I want to go on as, let's see if they give me the option, home and Dan. They changed Facebook to make things harder to find. Let's see here. Pull down menu. There we go. I think it's in here. Oh, no, it's not. All right, Facebook. Where did you put the different... apologize for not being as familiar with the new Facebook Messenger, notifications, Marketplace, not Marketplace. Oh, well. Pages. There we go. Holly Heisman Memorial Fund. I knew I could do it eventually. Had to be one of those. So you can go here to facebook.com/Holly Heisman Memorial, and you could read some of the posts from the places that we've helped over the years. This is information about the tournament, information about the family tree, and then every year we give money, and we ask those that we donated the money to put a little post here on Facebook about the money that was granted to them. Okay, so how do you enter the tournament? Well, let's go back to my web page again, and if you go to more Holly Heisman Memorial, tells you all about the tournament, 4 sections. We'll talk about that in a second. And right here, we could go to enter online by emailing the TD or going to the official tournament site, Holly Heisman Memorial Tournament at Tri-Bridges Chess Club. And it'll say right in here, you can email the TD Joshua Anderson and put in there the following information. To enter, email Joshua, that says right here, with the information over here on what section you want and so on. Let's talk about the sections for a second. We wanted the tournament to be open to everyone in the world. Normally, it's a USCF rated tournament, and we only have USCF rated sections. But this year, because the tournament is online, we wanted everybody in the world to play. So let me go back to here's the sections over here. So we said, how can we get everybody to play? Because if you're in Europe and you're a 1700 player in Sweden, or you're a 1200 player in Australia, or you're a player in England and you want to play, we don't want you to have to join the US Chess Federation to play in our tournament because it's online on chess.com and open to everybody. So I suggested we create what's called a non-rated section. A lot of people don't understand non-rated because they confuse non-rated with unrated. A non-rated section is a section that's not going to be rated by the United States Chess Federation. It doesn't mean that the people in the section are unrated. It just means people who play in that section don't have to join the US Chess Federation, and they can be from anywhere in the world. They could have any rating. So if Magnus Carlsen wants to play, he can play in the non-rated section. If you're a 1700 player in Yugoslavia, well, there's no Yugoslavia anymore, let's say Serbia, you can play. If you're an unrated player and you're in Canada, you can play. So we have a section called non-rated, which we do not require a USCF rating. So for the other 3 sections, open, under 1700, and under 1200, we're going to submit them to the new USCF online rating system. The US Chess Federation gives out their titles like Master and Expert for people who play over-the-board tournaments where, everybody can see that you're playing, they know who you are, there's slow games, they give out the titles that way. But because of the pandemic, the USCF created a new rating system for slow online rated games, and that's what's going to be used. That's what this tournament is going to be rated as. It's going to be rated as that kind of tournament, the USCF slow online ratings. So the open section under 1700 and under 1200, you have to be a USCF member. For non-rated, anybody in the world can play. Now, the other issue is which ratings are we going to use? I think down here Joshua has the hierarchy of ratings that he's going to use. If you have a USCF over-the-board rating, that's the main rating that we're going to use to pair you. If you have a USCF online rating but not a standard rating, let's say you started playing USCF tournaments this year and you've only played online tournaments and you now have a 1522 online rating, well, we'll use that one to pair you instead. Joshua said he'd like to use US Chess over-the-board quick ratings if you don't have a slow or an online rating. If you don't have a over-the-board quick rating, maybe your online quick rating, and so on. He has all the US Chess ratings. And then finally, if you don't have a US Chess rating and you want to play with your online rating, then you can tell the tournament director, I want to play in the under 1700 section. My rating is 1342, and that's my rating on chess.com, or that's my rating on Lichess, or that's my rating on ICC. And the tournament director will use that rating to help pair you as well. If you don't have a rating and you want to play as an unrated player, okay, unrated players can play in any section. That's why an open section is open. Under 1700 is also open to unrated. The under 1200 section is open to unrated, and of course the non-rated section is open to unrated as well. So a lot of people, as I said, get confused between a non-rated section and an unrated section. You can have a rating and you can play. If you're a USCF member and you don't want to play a USCF rated game tomorrow and you want to play in the non-rated section, that's perfectly okay. You can come in and say, I'd like to play non-rated. Please pair me as a 2450 player, whatever your rating is. give Josh your rating and tell him you want to play in the non-rated section. That's okay too. Non-rated section open to everybody in the world. We're just trying to raise money for women in need and help people out. Okay, I have a picture here. This is Holly and I getting onto a cruise ship, obviously about 30 some years ago. I looked a little younger then, yes I did. And I'm the one on the right, if you haven't noticed. And Holly's the one with the, we're having the tournament and memorial for her. And as I said, we're trying to raise money. Now, when I was thinking of doing this video, I said, I guess I better show a chest position. And I was going to show you the famous position that I use all the time when I'm teaching that Dr. Bailey had. And then I realized when Dr. Bailey passed away earlier this year, I used that position in my earlier video that was a tribute to Dr. Bailey. So I had to come up with another position. And I really couldn't think of too many. I had some stories from the Holly Heisman, but I created a position that was similar to one that was in a game once. So I was watching a game, I think it was in the middle section. The middle section in those days was under 1,500. For this online tournament, we're going to do under 1,700. We're going to add that extra section. And in the tournament, the white was a adult and black was a teenager. And black had just played king to c7, and it was white's turn. And white reached out and he pushed his pawn from a7 to a8. And the teenager grabbed the queen off the board and he said, I suppose you want a queen, right? And the adult, who wasn't paying a lot of attention, all of a sudden opened his eyes and he looked at the board and he looked around and he said, oh, I guess that would be stalemate, wouldn't it? He says, well, I think I'm going to take a rook. So he took a rook. Again, this isn't the exact position, but close enough. And the teenager played king to b7, and the adult played rook to g8, and a couple moves later, the teenager resigned. So after the game, I said to the teenager, I said, you shouldn't have said anything. And he says, what are you talking about? And I said, well, when white was reaching out to play a8 queen, I said, you should have not said anything. You should have just let him decide for himself what he wanted to do. I said, he might not have been paying attention, and he might have gotten a queen, and you might have gotten your stalemate and gotten a draw. And the teenager said, well, I wanted him to get the queen. That's why I said, would you like a queen? And I said, yes, but you were basically, if you're talking to someone who's not a little kid, they're going to understand when you say that there might be something to it. And that's exactly what happened. You alerted the adult that something was up, and then he realized that getting a queen was a stalemate. So it didn't make sense for you to say, do you want a queen, right? Because your opponent's you're basically alerting your opponent that maybe something is up, and there's no reason to do that. So he kind of just gave me a dirty look like, I don't get it, I don't agree with you. And I use this with my students sometimes. My older students, it's not really an issue. But sometimes you see in kids' tournaments, the one kid will be playing, and he'll make a move. And as soon as he makes a move, he'll like scream or yell or make a noise. Like he'll make the move and he'll go, oh! And there's only two reasons that he would do that. Either he really did just blunder and he's upset, or he's setting a trap and he wants his opponent to think that he blundered, and he wants his opponent to make a quick move and just take the queen or whatever the trap is so he can get the checkmate or whatever he's going to do. Well, little kids fall for that, and little kids think that's a good idea to go, oh, and then maybe the other guy will fall for it. But for the same reason that the teenager shouldn't have said anything to the adult, when you say, oh, to someone, you're really saying to them, look, it's either a big blunder or it's a trap. Well, you're basically saying to them, either way, be careful, because if it's a big blunder, make sure it's really a blunder and take your time and see if you can find out why it's a big blunder. And if it's not a big blunder and it's just a trap, well, then take your time and look at it and try to figure out what's the trap here. But if you don't say anything, your opponent might fall into the trap. But once you go, oh, even if it's not a trap and it's a blunder, he knows something's up. It's either you're upset because it's a blunder or you're faking being upset because it's a trap. So that kind of psychological thing really doesn't work. Now, there's lots of psychological things that you can do when you're playing that, you know, allow you to do things within the rules. But certainly going, oh, when you make a move is not one of the smarter ones. So you really don't want to do stuff like that. I've never really done much psychological stuff when I was playing. One of the things that I used to do was if I had a position that was a draw and I thought that maybe I just couldn't win the game and I didn't think my opponent could either, a lot of times I'd offer a draw to my opponent with the idea that I knew that they would turn it down or that maybe they would think I'm offering a draw because I'm worse. I wasn't the kind of player that would offer draws when I was in losing positions. That's insulting and kind of unethical. But if I had a position that I thought was tough and I offered a draw, and I thought it was a reasonable draw offer, very often my opponent would think, oh, Dan's only offering me a draw if he thinks that I'm winning, so therefore I'm going to turn down the draw and play for a win. Well, a lot of times if the position is relatively equal and you're offering a draw and your opponent thinks that you think that he's winning, then he's going to try to beat you in a position where it doesn't call for that, and he's going to try to make moves to win the game when that's not justified. So I've actually had some games where I thought I made somewhat legitimate draw offers, and I was not unhappy that they turned down the draw, and then my opponent decided to play for the win in a position where it really wasn't called for, and that helped me win the game because they were trying to win a drawn position that wasn't reasonable. But a lot of it came from the fact that once I offered the draw and they turned it down, they felt duty-bound that they should play for a win. Now that's a lot different than going, oh, when you make a trap, hoping that your opponent will think that you're upset. I'm offering a draw in a position where I think it probably is a draw, but they think, well, I might be a little better. I should play for a win, and I'm sitting there saying, well, they might be a little better, but they can't win the game. But then when they do try to win the game, then of course that sometimes isn't called for, and that might not be the right thing to do in the position. Okay, so let me review again. Tomorrow is the Holly Heisman Memorial. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You want to log on a little bit before. If you send an email to Joshua Anderson, the tournament director, tell him what section you want to play in, what rating you want to use, whether or not, you want any buys, whether you're a junior, in case we have junior prizes. We have donated prizes every year. There's no entry fee. We do ask people to try to make at least a $25 donation. We have no way of checking on that. But some people have already told me that they can't play, but they're going to make a donation anyway, and I appreciate that. You email Joshua. He's going to send back a Zoom link for you. The pairings will be made on the website that I just took you to, Josh's website. The pairings will be made on the Tri-Bridges Chet website. You'll be able to go there and see the pairings. The pairing should include not only your opponent's name, but their chess.com handle. So you're going to go onto chess.com, you're going to custom make the 25-5 time limit that we're using, 25 minutes with 5-second increment. That's not a standard chess.com time limit, so you have to hit, for challenge, you have to hit custom, and then you're going to hit 25-5, and then you're going to find your opponent's chess.com handle, which should be on the pairings, and you're going to challenge them to the game. Now, they might beat you to the punch and challenge you to the game first, but your opponent will be right there on Zoom, and I think Josh was planning on having 2 rooms in Zoom. One room will have 100 participants playing, and then and it's going to be silent, and then we'll have a secondary room for Skittles where if you and your opponent finish the game and you want to look at it while you're waiting for the next pairings to go up, you can go into the secondary room in Zoom and you can talk to your opponent about the game while you're waiting for the other games to finish and the new pairings to go up. I think that's what Joshua said he's going to do. He's been running a couple of these tournaments online with Zoom, and I have never been involved with any, so I think what I'm relaying to you is accurate, but I may be slightly off there. But anyway, You're going to get the Zoom link emailed to you. You're going to find your opponent. He'll have a chess.com handle. You're going to challenge him to the game, play the game on chess.com. Then you're going to report the results back to Joshua on Zoom. And he'll do that once all the games are done in each section. He'll do the pairings. There's 5 rounds. If you could play but you can't make all the rounds, let's say you're in Europe and the games are starting at 4 o'clock your time, and by the time we get to the last round, it's like 11 o'clock and you don't feel like playing, it's too late. Just tell Joshua when your game finishes in the 4th round that you want to take a bye in the 5th round and you can't play, and Joshua won't pair you. You don't have to play all the rounds. If you know ahead of time, let's say you know tonight, you see this video and you say, I can play, but I can't play in the 1st round. We're doing something in the morning on Saturday, and then I can't play till the 2nd round. Okay, just enter today, and when you enter and you send the email to Josh, tell him you want a half-point bye in the 1st round, and you can't play, and you'll join us in the 2nd round. So that's all you have to do. If there's rounds you know you can't play, as I said, it's a free entry. It's just a donation to the Holly Heisman Memorial Fund at the Philadelphia Foundation. Just tell the tournament director that you want to buy in certain rounds. You don't have to play all the rounds in order to play in the tournament. Thanks for listening to the video. 21 minutes is more than enough. Hopefully we will see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. See you then. Bye.